update on the applications of the medical marijuana applications?
Okay.
Brief discussion, update from our.
So everything that's come through public safety, every one that I've seen has been approved. Approved from public safety.
Okay.
The issue is, right now we don't have a finance director, so there's nobody to review them in that arena.
No finance director to review the applications. And is that the only department that they have not gone through?
Well, I don't know how many are held up there. I know some of them are at the city attorney's office. And
I mean, do we have more than at least one complete?
Oh, I have no idea how many are complete. Well, that would be, Kim would handle that. I can just tell you that I know that I've done probably 10 to 14 in the last couple weeks. And everything that has come across my desk has met muster, backgrounds checked out, everything's fine.
Really?
So their hold up, like I said, I know the hold up on a lot of them is with no finance director to review the numbers, we're kind of stuck there.
Okay, and that's understandable. If I may, being on the public safety end with the changes with Benton Harbor and like Niles being two of the cities that were chosen for, I forgot what they call it. It was something that was just handed down to help the application process from the state point of view, as well as some organization, some national organization that has helped the process with those that have, to make it easier for the applicants to actually be able to speed up the process for those that may have had a felony, as well as incarceration for marijuana. That the voters voted for it, and I guess the governor is, I don't know. I mean, do you guys get that type of stuff?
I have not been told anything about that. I know that Laura has hired more staff to review the applications faster.
On state end?
Yep, on the state end. And I know that they made some changes to the review board policies because to make the review board more of a shall issue than may issue. But nobody's come to us on the application end and presented anything to us to show us how to streamline it. But like I said, everything that I've seen so far from all these applications, we had one that was a clerical issue. They didn't provide enough information. It went back in the review session from City Manager Watson and at the time, and then it came back to us and it cleared. So nothing on public safety's end for backgrounds and stuff is held up.
Okay. Well, if I may, clerk, so that Chairman Seeks has arrived, and if you could have City Clerk Thompson have an update for us at a regularly monthly meeting for the full body. And we're going to proceed. Thank you, Officer Clark. Just get a brief update on the application process for medical marijuana.
Public hearing, want to start now? Public hearing is open. Fiscal year 2019 annual action plan. Thank you.
Good evening. This is the second required public hearing as an entitlement community for our Community Development Block Grants Annual Action Plan. The plan was first presented at a special Community Planning and Economic Development meeting on June 12th, 2019, and has been made available to the public in the clerk's office, in the library, and on the city website. During our public comment period, we have not, the clerk nor I have received emails, voicemails, or any comments or suggestions relative to this plan. We are asking following this hearing, should there be no additional comments, that the commission approves this plan as presented so that we may submit this to HUD in a timely manner.
Question for you.
Yes,
Is
sir.
HUD present?
HUD is not.
It's HUD and Benton Harbor.
Well, HUD is in Benton Harbor, yes, not at the meeting tonight, but we are undergoing an audit right now.
Thank you. Any other questions concerning this public hearing? Second round of questioning. Any questions, please direct them towards the chair, which will direct them towards Mr. Jennings. You said you have not received any emails?
No, sir.
You have not received any phone calls?
No, sir.
Sir, this is the same thing presented last time?
Yes, sir.
Nobody said anything since then?
No, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. I guess, my question would be, as it relates to, all of the, this is for the next fiscal year that we're entering, or that we've entered. All expenditures of the past CBG dollars have been spent.
We still have funds that need to be spent for our fiscal year 2018 home loan repair program.
And that's it?
Well, we have an agreement with Takata that, due to their transition and their leadership, was not fulfilled. So we do have some funds that can be reprogrammed.
Can we,
So basically what you're saying is the Takata money that we allocated for Dollar Ride, which is Takata, they didn't, what happened with that? They didn't take it up?
They did not, and
Oh, wow.
despite requests for the paperwork and the documentation that we needed to be able to give them their reimbursement, we received nothing from them.
Oh, wow. That's the Takata board, maybe the commission can speak to that.
I'm sorry, we had a turnover in management, and I don't know what happened, to be truthful with you, so.
Had a turnover in management, and you said they couldn't get reimbursed for the money that we allocated from the city. So the reason we couldn't get them money because they had a turnover in management.
I said no, I didn't have an understanding of it because we had a turnover of management. I didn't say it was because of that. I said my understanding
Why y'all didn't get the money?
is because we had a turnover of management. That's my understanding, not that we had a turnover of management which caused that to happen. I don't know why it happened.
Was that allocated for them?
It was $46,000.
$46,000, and truly we needed it, and I couldn't understand what happened.
Wow.
But I'm sorry, I didn't have that information today. I would have asked because we had our board meeting.
Just for so what do you want to reallocate that money for now?
It would be nice if we could reallocate that towards our home loan repair. That would allow us to at least do one additional whole house repair if we were able to reallocate those funds.
No surprise in that young man came here, Alex, what's his name, Ellis, Alex, which one came and asked for that money? Mitchell?
Little.
Ellis.
Little.
Which one got fired, Little or Mitchell or Ellis? Little. He said they really needed that money to stay afloat over there at Dollar Ride. And he was terminated. And so we didn't give him $46,000 that they could have used to help better the community for the residents to get where they need to go.
Can we find out from one of the board members if in fact they are in good standing, where no one has actually shown up over here to ask for a bid for it?
Commissioner Henry, you guys didn't need that $46,000 for Dollar Ride?
That was my understanding.
That you didn't need it no more?
That was my understanding at that time, that we needed it
But now you
for
don't
match money for another They documented, you got that stuff documented, don't you, what we needed it for?
I have a subrecipient agreement, but that's the only paperwork that I have from Takata, nothing else.
There's an agreement, what is the agreement?
Well,
What is the agreement?
The agreement was that we were gonna give them the match dollars so they can go out and get some grant dollars that they needed to do some improvements for the vans and buses. And somehow, some way, after, I guess, Mr. Little was, walked out, they didn't need the $46,000 that we had allocated
That's
for them.
not to say that they still didn't need it, but
Well, I
I'm
think
saying,
it's over now.
Well, we've not moved on it.
okay.
They
So
have
is-
not provided any information.
Is there a specific amount of time that we have?
I'll find out what statute of
Okay,
limitations.
because before we send this to the board for approval, for adjusting it, for
The
transferring
thing
it.
is, though, we need to know, Commissioner, not to cut, we got to do this expeditiously. Because HUD is here,
Well, that's what I'm asking.
and we don't have a whole lot of time to play with this money because we're already behind.
And I will, if I may through the chair,
Go ahead.
I will check to see, because that subrecipient agreement does expire. So I'll check to see what the expiration date is and if there's a statute of limitations beyond the expiration date of that agreement.
From our department, I would love for you to send them a letter. Send them a certified letter thanking them. Find out that they're in such good shape, they only need $46,000. Their management team is in such excellent condition that they don't want to provide paperwork.
It
To
would,
get receipted, $46,000. So maybe we need to. Who's over there in management now? Who's working in management over there now that we can talk to? Who's handling that kind of information over there now?
there's two people there. Well, I guess you could go to the financial director, or you could go to TJ, who's taking the position of director, and Bill Premise, who's there 3 days a week.
Honorable Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
if I may,
Go for it.
going forward, we need to start doing something in the form of best practices, and I've mentioned this before, and still yet nobody has come forth. Our housing commission and every other arm of the city of Ben Harbor, they need to be bringing forth some type of report to the body to let us know what's going on, so that we're together on one page with things. So that we know that we functioning together as a city. I mean, all of that shows stability to me. Is there something that we can do, or is there something within the ordinance, or I don't remember reading anything in the charter, that we as a body can do? I mean, not to be demanding, but it just seems like they would be willing to when they were asked.
Yeah, I don't understand how, again, Dollar Ride is in that such good shape they couldn't take that $46,000. I think any entity in Ben Harbor.
They can't possibly
Well-
be in great shape, because the buses that I see, and not only Dollar Ride buses, they ride down my street and the side streets, and with all
Yeah,
them,
we can call Mr.
Great.
Mitchell, he's still over there? All the work over there?
and the school buses, they
Don't Mr.
couldn't
still work
possibly
over
be in good shape.
there? Don't Mr. Mitchell still work over there? Maybe we call him.
Well, I just told you, Chair, I just told you the 3 people that you could contact and get your answer, and now you're coming back and asking me another question? I just told you,
You
Mr.
write, duly noted, write those 3 people down so we can contact Dollar Ride for the allocated $46,000. That they have not been able to provide any kind of documentation or information for us to draw down that money from HUD. I do appreciate that, Ms. Jenny.
Only thing we have to do is reroute it if we needed to someplace that it's more needed.
Who else sits on that board that we can get some information from that knows what's going on?
Ms. Kennard, she'd be happy to bring.
Then we can ask them
it.
for
and
presentation.
Ms. Berry,
And Ms.
Ms.
Vera,
Berry.
and Reverend Childs, and Mr.
Well, I mean,
Andrews,
give us
we all are on the board, and you can ask either one of them.
All
But I would suggest you to go to the
through
director.
the chair, could we get a consensus that, the city clerk send a letter to all of these, entities of the city and ask them if, in fact, they would start providing us with, an annual update, a quarterly update, or something?
But that's amazing. I just thought about something. But I'll talk about that tomorrow. Any other questions concerning this public hearing?
Yes.
Yes.
Please feel free.
We asked a question about if we had an eligibility. They said they were going to call HUD and get an answer, and I need to know if
Eligibility of what?
for our community got block grant money, if we could spend it on summer youth program. There was 2 questions that were asked as to if we had the authority to use it for certain things, and we have no answer for it. And here we go.
That's I got from Hood was.
Excuse me, I had the floor.
Well, you asked the question.
But I'm not finished though.
You asked the question, you said you didn't get the information, we give it to you. Hood says there's no allocation right now for summer employment with that community block grant money. Thank you.
What did you say?
I'd like
HUD, HUD said that there's no money allocated at this time for summer youth employment.
Did they send that in writing? I'd like to see it.
All right. Well, there, what?
I will request in writing.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
But you got it in.
It's still here.
That it was not a approved allocation. And was there a second item that we asked for?
I'll have to go back and look at my notes, but I remember youth employment. Something else I don't recall.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Ben Carson cut all that out.
If I may, Honorable Chair, I think I asked this question once before. Can we revise this if needed be?
If need be,
along
yes.
the way. But we just need it in so that it can be approved, okay?
That $46,000, we have to do something with that though. So if we can kind of move that forward kind of quickly, give them a time span of 14 days to respond rather than writing or with the information. And if not, then tell them we'll have to move on to reallocating that money.
I have one more question.
Commissioner Adams.
We still working on 18. Okay, is some of that allocated to the armory as well? Okay, have our cameras been put up at the armory? No camera system has been put up at the armory? The only public safety? No.
Please, have this HUD, let's, for the sake of this hearing, we have to stay on what
Yes,
this hearing is
but
about.
we're talking about our
Are you
block grant dollars.
asking, can we reallocate that money?
No, money was
there
already.
money already allocated for cameras for the army?
I recall saying through the plan, infrastructure improvements, like the tuck pointing, the window replacement, the HVAC repairs and things of that nature. I'll look back in the details, but I do not recall a security system.
Okay. No, I had that conversation when Director McGinnis was here, as well as City Manager Watson, and was given the assurance, since we're putting all of this money into the armory, we need eyes to make sure that any vandalism that's been going on and still ongoing for our community block grant dollars, I mean, it just makes sense.
Has there been vandalism done to the tuck point? All that kind of stuff that we just put money out for.
You wouldn't know if you don't.
All right, thank you.
My eyes stay on it.
Harvey?
Yes, I just want to know, is there a printout for this public hearing? Do we got a printout on what we talking about?
Well, we have a printout here.
Or is it going to be a presentation on it, or?
Well, this is the second one.
This is the second one. Anybody got a copy of what we talking about?
If we need, you talking about budget wise?
It's a public hearing.
If you need it, we can get you one. Is there any way we can get a copy of that? Is your concern budget wise or what's
Well, just everything the money gonna be spent on, because I'm hearing comments about what we can and can't do.
all right?
Come to the mic.
Please state your name if you would.
Sorry about that, Leroy Harvey. Just moved back to the area. I'm just concerned about youth activities, jobs, economic development, and it's a lot of comments being made. So I want to do some research, and I pretty much already did, but I just don't have no information. Like you said, it's the second meeting, so maybe y'all pass that out. But anytime there's a public hearing, you need information for the public. That's why it's a public hearing. So So I just need any type of information, not to come here and say you're not doing what you're supposed to do, but we need something so we can read off and see what you're talking about. So if you guys allocate money for certain things already, and I heard somebody say hood is here.
Do me a favor, bring 5 of them back in case we need to know.
I just want to know, it says fiscal year 2019 annual action plan. What is that? So if you having a hearing and getting the public input, whenever we get finished, we need to know what you're talking about.
Through the chair.
Before and after.
Let me be the first to just apologize to the city resident and thank you for moving back to Benton.
No.
But no, we've had.
Whoa. This is a public hearing.
Right.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stick to the public hearing. Yeah. So we're gonna get you a copy of the budget. If we got a question about the budget, we'll move forward with that. But I'm not gonna spend an exorbitant amount of time with just conversation. If you got something about the money that he's asking about, or he wants to know what it's about, then we'll answer that. If not, we can answer the question. Right?
And that's fine, and just to help you all out with that, and you can research it. It's a public hearing. You should have all this other stuff on there. You should make sure the public hearing gets the times that it's needed, because it's a public hearing.
First. This is not my first one.
It's not mine either.
Public hearing was first. I've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah. It's not my first one either.
Oh Lord, it's first.
But I just want the information. We don't got to debate this public. I'm here.
Thank you.
So are we getting the information?
Yeah, definitely.
That's all I want.
Budget.
I'm done. Can I get that?
Appreciate it. Anybody else got anything you want to add on this public hearing? Please come forward and state your name. Thank you.
I'm like this gentleman. What are you even talking about? We don't have it. We got information now, so help me.
Again, I mean, this is the second public hearing.
We don't remember the last one, so
appreciate it.
I don't.
I did. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
It was
no problem.
posted in the what, news,
It was posted in the newspaper.
I just got back here last week. I appreciate
Nobody
it.
needs a picture.
probably on the website as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's out there. If you have any questions about any of this, please. Let's talk.
You're right.
Yeah, so at this point, I heard you say the hood reps are here. So if they here, they doing an investigation with Mr. Jennings, and they going through the A, B's, and C's. I already know what that's about. So at this point, we're going over certain items to make sure we in order with them as we move forward. Through the chair, are they allowing us to make any amendments to this at this point?
That's what we're doing now.
And they will work with us while they're here to get those done.
Exactly. Perfect. I mean, we got $46,000 now that's in limbo. The rest of it, per your question, Mr. Harvey, anytime during the year where some of this money is not spent down, we have another special meeting, a public hearing, to reallocate the money, get it approved by HUD, draw it back down. But the drawdown process, which you probably already, is the main thing, getting them to approve that which is before us now. Because for the last 4 or 5 years, we've had money sitting there and done nothing with it. And HUD penalized us and came at us and told us, if we don't hurry up and spend this money, then the money won't be coming back. Certain amounts of money, because it's almost at the fact you don't need it. So it has not been Ms. Jennings' management, had not been the young lady before her, but the emergency management that was here and their team did not spend a lot of the money that was there. What you have now, the farmer's market, and a lot of the money has been spent. So we had to hurry up and draw down the money. We had to hurry up and pull the money down. Even with Takata, that money was some money that we were supposed to hurry up and get rid of. But now, since they don't have a management team that, well, they did have, I don't know how to word it, what they're going to do now, but they couldn't provide documentation for $46,000 for match money in order to improve buses for the city. Well,
Vance from Harvard, as Commissioner Alice Adams so stated. It looked like the buses that they're driving need the help, and they could use money, but obviously they must have. Thank you.
Okay. Last comment, I'll be done with this. Through the chair. Sometime when letters and documentation is presented, being a former commissioner, I do know this for a fact, that sometimes the city manager and certain staff, economic development directors, would have certain information, and we wouldn't have a clue about it. We would get certain letters, Cornerstones, CBG, through Hood, and certain letters you don't know the crisis we're in as far as them taking funds. So at this point, you all just need to make sure you got all the information you need, because Hood could say, well, you guys gonna lose this money if you don't do A, B, and C. Been there, done that. And all of a sudden, like we doing now, coming to the last minute trying to get it spent, I just want to make sure you all know that, make sure you're aware of everything, that's all the letters, all information coming through, because they'll say, oh, y'all not getting the money. But you all, no, I'm just saying, you all wouldn't know nothing about it. I'm just, through past experiences, you wouldn't have a clue, and all of a sudden you get a letter, next year you won't get this money because of this. And everybody be saying all kind of stuff, but you had a letter, might have been sitting on somebody that's 5 months. 6 months.
You say that.
So
You say
I'm just saying what I walked through when I sat here. And I was trying to flip over tables, but everybody don't tell the truth. I don't have nothing to hide. You can't do nothing to me. Nobody. So it's important that you all get those letters. Like I'm gonna say it again. The mayor get a letter. I remember.
For real.
The mayor get the letter all the time.
He does.
The city manager get a letter, and maybe one other staff. So when you actually call Hood yourself, when people don't want you to, and they tell you who they CC the letters to, and then all of a sudden you find out all this information. So Commissioner Cecil might not got the letter, but the other 3 did. So you're like, wow, I didn't get this letter. Been there, done that. So, and all of a sudden, you might not get the money next year because of all these things. So I'm not saying it's her fault. She just got here. So she in a hot seat, and she cleaning up things. So I'm just saying to make sure you all know, because we do need this money. I'm surprised people turn it away too. It's not like it's a whole lot, but I mean, $46,000 is enough to help get some things going. So I'm just saying, I just want to make sure we utilize it the best we can. We don't need to turn no dimes back.
I do appreciate that, and I do concur that there's been times where we did not know. A lot of times that it's been to the fact of back to David Nicole Brown, Virginia Sistrum, even back to Irma Jean Mullins Thompson, who sat on this board for 4 years after she left. We have dealt with such things, commingling the funds, all kind of different things. You have to know your HUD requirements in order to even talk about it. You know, a lot of times people are shooting out but don't know. Even if they read it, they still don't know what's going on with it because there's certain coding and certain different things that has to apply. So I do appreciate that suggestion. And everybody does have the right to know, because HUD has a public. Anytime a document goes from the federal government to the city, it becomes foilable and it's a public document. You cannot hide letters. So if you're questioned about a letter or you find out HUD has sent the letter, every letter that comes into the city from the government becomes a public document. Mr. Duncan.
Just a question about the Bobo Brazil Center. Some of this money, is it going?
It is already won.
Is it going to be working on the Bobo Brazil Center?
Through the chair, yes, there has been $300,000 that was allocated for repairs of the armory. It's a 3-phase project. The first phase was the previous fiscal year, and this next $100,000 is phase 2 of that 3-phase project on the armory.
Right, thank you.
Commissioner Adams.
I want to thank Mr. Harvey for something he just brought up, because I experienced the same thing, and that's because I do my research, and I like to know what's going on if people come down here and they're pointing fingers and holding me accountable for things. Ms. Jennings wasn't here. She was not our director then. But I was told I didn't have the right to be calling HUD. I call who I want to call. I'm the people's elect. And the mayor or anybody else can stop me from doing that because it's my job. My question to the director is, when we get some inefficiencies that are coming down from HUD, like they're here now doing their audit, and you're presented with something, do we have to put together a resolution to make sure that all 9 of these elected people get it?
Commissioner, can we stay on the fact?
That's a very valid and important question.
Public hearing is just an action plan. When it comes to the updated community economic development department, please, if you would speak.
Okay, yeah,
Please.
okay, good deal.
But let's stay on the actual public hearing, because the public hearing is solely just a public hearing. That's why it's
Okay,
first.
so my question would be in regards to this, when does the next phase of the armory start?
Once we receive these funds, which
These here?
per HUD would be October.
But I thought that we were still dealing with past dollars that's been allocated.
But those have been, the armory project, that's been taken care of.
And how much was that?
It was $100,000.
Okay, so we're looking at this year and then the next fiscal year, but wow. Then maybe we need to allocate that 40 something that they didn't want and put it into the armory, and let's get this baby up and operating for our children in the community that don't like to go to the Boys and Girls Club, or that just want to be in a place of a feeling that they call their own. How about that?
Amen. Can we do that?
If we could send that to the full body for reestablishing those funds to be allocated to the armory.
Thank you. Commissioner Henry.
Thank you. I want to talk about the sidewalk replacement. Can you tell me how much of that $95,000 will go to the study and the asset management plan that's going to be developed?
Ms. Jennings.
It is my understanding that the asset plan and the study has already been conducted by the city engineer, and these funds would be used to actually repair the sidewalks.
You said it again, and none of this money will be used for the engineer. All of this money will be used
For the physical repair.
To do the repair.
That's my understanding.
Thank you.
Well, why don't we read that, Chair?
Ms. Jennings, why does not read as such that all the money will be used? Can you change that to all the money will be used for repairs?
I mean, it don't read like that.
What word are you looking for that you need to change?
I'm reading this. It says it's to use the purpose of this activity is to conduct a citywide assessment of all sidewalks and develop an asset management plan. And I heard her say that we already had it. I remember reading it. They talked about sidewalks. It was 2 streets and sidewalks. So
enforce the plan, is that what you want to put down?
it doesn't say. It says the city will use the CDBG funds as leverage for funds leveraged through a recently enacted citywide income tax. I need that to actually say what this $95,000 is going to be for. If it's for us to conduct an assessment or do a new asset management.
Why is income tax even on there?
Because we're going to leverage with, so I guess they're going to take some money out the income tax form.
No. Work in correspondence with. Okay.
Yeah, so they match whatever It's not a grant, so I don't know.
I get it. Is it because it makes sense if they're working on a street over here and there's a sidewalk that needs to be replaced there in that same location or vicinity, that it would make sense to repair that sidewalk so that that street, everything is, I mean, that's the way you build the community.
It makes sense.
Yeah, that's what
It makes sense, but they're not doing it.
So those kind of things are not worded right, and other people read it. They don't know that we already had an assessment. You just told us that, and I agree with you because I read it. But if anybody else read this, HUD read it, or whoever read it, they'll think that we're actually going to do a citywide assessment with this $95,000, as well as an assessment management plan. So that's what I thought when I read it.
So would it make more sense if it said something like, we already know where the sidewalks are, that a sidewalk study has been conducted, and these funds will be used
To leverage
city
citywide.
and upgrade sidewalks.
Just to piggyback off that, when you say sidewalk replacement, proposed activity description, it can be real clear, say, to repair sidewalks in the city. All this other writing is confusing, and then it ties it up where later on, if you spend money for the assessment, which I heard it was already done, but if we're gonna use the whole 95,000, we don't have to talk about the citywide income tax, none of that, because we use the 95,000 based off this draft for the annual action plan budget to repair sidewalks. So that's clear as that. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Akashi, Mr. Ricky Hudson, City Rep.
Yes, community misleading. How everybody's saying that this assessment plan has already been done, but we're gonna run into trouble if we don't have no proof. Do you have proof?
If I may, through the chair. I believe it was the city engineer that put together that assessment plan, and there used to be a copy or a trifold that was right over there that had all the.
It's in the clerk's office.
Okay, so it is in the clerk's office, and they've had presentations regarding this
So they have
exact plan, and it does exist. Evan Marsh was the.
Thank you.
So can we cut the fluff out? And
Yes.
Try to change the word.
Yes.
Appreciate it, Greg. Anybody else, public hearing? Public hearing? Any other suggestions, statements concerning this public hearing? If you do have any more input, please email or call Ms. Jennings. But after you said the last time we had this meeting, nobody had called, nobody had. Your phone number is 269-927-8400.
Yes.
927-8400. That is for the people who might be even online who are looking.
8404.
84.
8400. You can. That's the main
We don't
line.
want that one, we want your direct line.
8400.
My number's changed. Hold on, I can tell you in just a moment.
All right, public hearing is closed. Thank you for your participation. Did you, when you first came, was that an update or not?
No, there isn't an update.
All right, can we do this real quick? Discussion on the sub-recipient agreement with Community Action Agency. Can we discuss that real quick?
The Community Economic Development Department has submitted for your review and approval a sub-recipient agreement for the home loan repair program with Community Action Agency. They are the partner agency that helps to facilitate the home loan repair. I'm trying to get the particulars, if I may. This agreement is to commence August 1st, 2019 and to end June 30th, 2020. And this is for the purpose of facilitating home loan repairs for fiscal year 2018 and 2019. So that is not to exceed $15,734, which is the combined amounts of 10% of the project cost from fiscal year 2019 and 10% of the project cost from fiscal year 2018 that will go to the subrecipient to facilitate 4 home loan repair programs within the next year.
Could you explain the fact of us hiring somebody to do that? We don't have capacity to do that, that the money that was spent to do it, what they've done with that money, we don't have capacity, nor the employees. How much would it be if we were to hire your employee to help, part-time, I don't think, for a year or 2 years, we could hire somebody for $15,000 to do that.
And yeah, that's it, just $15,732. To hire a home loan repair specialist, housing repair specialist, we wouldn't be able to do so with that limited amount of funds. And we're only able to do 4 homes with these funds as well.
Could you also explain the fact of what HUD said concerning Southwest Community Action Agency and how they made them come forth with every document?
Well, so during this audit process that we've gone through, the very first meeting that we had was on Monday with Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency, and HUD went through Exhibit 16-1, 34-1, 34-2 with SMCAA. It was an interview, and they did their checks and balances, and HUD was pleased with the work that SMCAA has done and with the way in which they facilitated this program as well. As far as the HUD requirements and regulations are concerned, they have followed those.
So they followed it to a T. Was there any opposition from HUD from them doing it, or do we really need them to do it?
There was no opposition from HUD. HUD seemed pleased with the partnership, and they understand that there's a great need, far greater than what we're able to satisfy with the program. But in partnership with SMCA, we have at least been able to address some housing repair needs for homeowners, especially seniors in the community.
So before we had that agreement, well, you probably don't know that, it was none. We were doing no houses. There was years that no house was done until we came up with an agreement to get these houses done. So I think it's commendable that, how many houses have you emergency?
There have been 9
houses done in almost a year's time?
Yes.
And for about 6 or 7 years, I can go back, knowing personally that there was 0. Well, if you can name them, please. How many homes was done before that?
I know that the program lay dormant. I don't know how many before this last iteration.
I think they got them.
My home was one.
How many years ago was that?
Before I was an elected official.
How many years ago was that?
About 10.
I said.
So it didn't lay dormant too long.
I said 7 to 8. Did I say 7, 8 years?
No, it's just been dormant for the years that we were in.
7,
not totally emergency management, but for the past 3 to 4 years prior to this right here. My question
7 to 8 years, nobody's at their house done. That's just
through the chair.
That's just the information that we need to keep going with real quick. I'm gonna give you a chance to ask a question. But there have not been houses done. No house was done under Scott Sims. The last rehabilitation was done under Regina Sistrum when it came to NSP2 and NSP1. From then, we stopped the list because we had too many people on the list when Nicole Brown Sistrum. Nicole Brown was here because there were so many people on the list that we could not even satisfy. And people on that list for 10 to 15 years. So we stopped the list. Let's record. We stopped the list as a commission because we didn't want to exceed no more applications, being that we weren't fulfilling what we were doing. And then, before then, people were being handpicked to get their house fixed. Commissioner Adams.
So we should just let HUD send out direct money, funds to Southwest Michigan Action Agency for this program, because that's where we're headed.
It's definitely not true.
I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, if we've been allotted these dollars to take care of our community, and we hire a community economic director that's supposed to have the qualifications, because we hadn't had one. And we allowed Ms. Sims, and I like the fact that they came forth and gave a presentation, and they let us know that not only Benton Harbor, but the need of the surrounding communities as well. And how when they run out of funds for one community, and they still have funds that belong to another community, they can keep the program going on and on. Now, I like that. I like the fact that they can operate like that because we're all neighbors. And that's the way they work. I mean, that's the presentation that the young lady gave us. That as long as they can show cause and have everything in order when they, when I guess the program is up and over, that they show cause that the monies that were allotted for them for a specific, that they can account for. I'm just.
The question, Commissioner Adams started off by saying that maybe we should give them all the money.
No, I didn't start off saying anything. I
didn't say
speak for myself.
Well,
I said, is that where we're headed?
Oh, is that where you feel we had to give all the money?
I didn't say all. My mouth works.
Could you ask the question again, please? I'm just trying to for a point of clarity, so we're on record. I mean, I just don't like the filibuster. So,
Then let's please not, sir.
So, do you feel that it's bad? In your capacity as one person or two people, do you have enough to do that you can add that to your? Do you go out and inspect?
Not without becoming a certified housing inspection person, which is, so SMCAA's housing rehab coordinator is a certified housing quality standards inspector. There are trainings that are offered. Now, while I'm not a certified inspector, I do the inspections and do the walkthroughs, as does the program coordinator for community and economic development. We work very closely with SMCAA on each home, but I'm not a certified inspector, nor is the coordinator of this program.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes, sir. Through the chair, I'd like to ask our director, tell me how much money did we spend on the last project through this company? How much did they make? How much did we spend on the actual work? That'll be the contract and the material and everything. And then, did that number change with the new budget?
So I can answer through the chair, the first question first.
Please feel free.
The number did change with the new budget. It was drastically decreased because the amount of houses that we are looking to rehab has been decreased. So what we have allocated and what has always been allocated for the sub-recipient is 10% of the project cost. So the project cost for 2019 is $87,125. And of the project cost for 2019 is $87,125. So of that $87,125,000, $8,712 will go to SMCAA for their administrative duties as our subrecipient. The prior year, I want to say it was like $75,000 that was allocated. It might be 77 for fiscal year 18. And so it would be like $7,750 that would go to Southwest Michigan Community Action Agency for their administrative assistance with this program.
For administration and bookkeeping,
With the inspection.
all that.
Yeah, the inspections, the spec write-up, the pre-inspection, the spec write-up, the bid facilitation, those type of things. So prior to that, and when Ms. Scott Sims was in the seat and there was the big push to do the big draws and spend the money that had not been spent, I believe it was $225,000 that was allocated to get those 9 houses completed. And of that money, $22,500 went to SMCAA as the subrecipient.
So they're basically getting that 10% no matter how many houses we do.
They get 10% of the cost, yes.
And we have less houses. We had 9 houses last year.
Yes.
And we're having how many houses this year?
2 houses for fiscal year 19, 2 houses for fiscal year 18.
So only 2 houses.
4 total, but 2 per fiscal year.
And they provide an accounting, they provide the bid process.
They do the bid process, they do the specs right up, they do the pre-inspection, they do the post-inspection, they do the checking of the permits.
And even if they have to meet the hood, they do that, that's part of that cost too.
Yes.
You don't have to pay no extra.
Right.
Find somebody who can do it for 10%, please. Mr. Henry, please feel free to microphone.
Thank you. Quick question, process question for inside city government. We have an inspection department, as well as coordination with the community development department. Fire department handles inspections. Now, cost effective. The more, and this is a statement, the more the city can do on its own, management-wise and administrative, it would be an effective use of any and all kinds of funding that comes into the city other than general fund taxpayer money. Now, the key is to make that happen realistically and not just subcontract out. As you know, I'm a past executive director of Southwestern Michigan Community Action Agency. So I can tell you as a fact that the cost is not exorbitant for what they provide. But as a home rule city, it would be more cost effective and it would show up on both your bottom line and top line in terms of bond rating, et cetera, if the city can provide those services in-house at the same cost or at a lower cost.
Well, feel free to post that position for $15,000. And we can get somebody to take it. I don't mind doing it. I mean, I don't mind doing it for bringing it back and out. But I don't know too many people. I mean, we lost what was his name? Ted Hansen, and what's the other guy who's gone now? What's the other guy's name?
Van
Thornton is gone. So we had to outsource the building official. So we can't get nobody to come and work. The city of Benton Harbor as a building official. So now you got a guy who's getting 100%. That's what you really need to be talking about right now. You're getting the guy who's getting 100% of permit fees for all development. So that weed house they're building out there at El Rico, he about to get 100% of $3 million fees. And ain't nobody saying nothing about that, you know. We're talking about $15,000. And this man about to walk away with 100% of the building official. He about to get 100% of every permit that he write. He get 100% of what they pay. Ain't nobody saying nothing about that. The building code, the building official, I brought this to the attention.
It works for Benton Harbor?
It works for Benton Harbor. I brought this to the commission. This is the 3rd time I brought it here. That this man gets 100% of every permit.
Who hired him?
City of Benton Harbor hired him.
I don't know what he look like.
They were pressuring to hire him by the state because he did not have one. When he was hired, I came to this body and told this body, and I came to the commission and told you publicly, this man is getting 100%. And I asked the question, with that weed house being built over there at El Rico, is he going to get 100% of that money for the building permit fees? The answer was yes.
Yes.
And we had no problem with that. But we got a problem with giving some money to Southwest Community Action.
That's that man's money out there.
The building official works for the city of Benton
We're
Harbor.
talking about hood dollars.
The building.
Talking about hood dollars.
How y'all gonna?
Dollars are dollars. Where it come from.
So you telling me that a man gonna get off of $3 million building $3 million for permit fees. That don't matter. But we're gonna talk about giving community action agency $10,000, $5,000. But this man about to make hundreds of thousands. He just got a permit fee the other day for $5,000 for an hour worth of work. Everything that's going on in the city of Benton Harbor right now that takes any kind of building permit, he is getting 100% of the money. You ain't got no problem with that. We're gonna question it.
But who hired him?
The city of
Because I never saw it. And ain't nothing ever come across me as an elected official to say yes.
You are approving the checks. The last time I stopped the check and asked, why is this man being paid this much? And they said it was for all the permit fees that he's getting. Every single time we sit here and approve the accounts payable,
Let me see.
he is making money hand over fist.
We're responsible for finance. Who's responsible for hiring the public?
All right, let's talk about that $15,000.
Code enforcer.
Come on, boy, come on, y'all.
Go ahead.
Think it's city management though.
Hey, about to get worse. Let's go.
Thank you for bringing that subject up. Again.
Yeah.
I heard you the first time.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody else heard you. But when I asked for the contract and the resume of the person that was hired, none of you backed me up, and I didn't get it. And every time I asked for it, you never open your mouth.
For the record, that's not true.
Whose responsibility was it to give it?
And I asked for that too. Because I
You
didn't
must have asked for it behind closed doors.
I asked for it publicly.
Whose responsibility was it to give it?
Please feel free to pull the YouTube or the DVD or the tape, whatever you want. I asked the question when I seen this man walking away with an exorbitant check that y'all approved. And I asked the question, who is this person?
Check the votes.
And why is he getting paid this amount
I
of money?
heard you ask that. But did you?
And I asked, what is his name? What does the contract say?
Okay, but we talking about the subsidiary agreement.
Now, what I'm talking about, the reason why this is important and imperative, because Mr. Henry asked the question, stating that we have people that are doing inspections in the city of Benton Harbor. I was giving them the history of what has been outsourced, in the last year.
Who outsourced it?
As far as inspections. When you lost Van and you lost Ted Hanson.
Oh, wait.
The building right here.
Wow.
On the corner by the fruit market, the new apartment complex that they're building up there, they had to get some permits.
We trouble about.
The state
we didn't have
sent all of us a letter stating, everybody got the same letter, stating that we must hire somebody to fill the building official's job. If not, the state was going to take it over.
Okay. It's coming back to me.
Thank you, sir.
So may I say something? I didn't come here to say nothing.
Please.
I want to come here to say something. Basically, I came here just to listen. But this is a subject that's kind of like a little deep to me. Don Meeks is my name. I'm a licensed building inspector and a licensed builder. And there's 3 licensed building inspectors right in Benton Harbor. Guy Holson, Sam Hudson, and myself that I know of. It may be more. So there's people here that can do that job. And for money that's been get and sent out 100%, I don't see that. The city of Wyoming send me a letter copy every month. Looking for building inspectors, $35,000, $40,000, what they paying. That's in that's in the top front ground line. That's right top for a building inspector. So I'm letting you know that there are people here that can do that, and there's people here in this administration know that people in their own town can do that. Like I say, I'm a licensed building inspector, Sam Hudson, and also Guy Holson.
You got Sam Hudson sued.
It falls on man.
Well, what? I'm just giving some names.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so I didn't come to say nothing, but I just want to kind of get on something.
I appreciate it.
This it's kind of touched me pretty good.
In our charter, which responsibilities is it for us to hire? Finance?
The problem was not hiring.
Well, I think the problem probably comes from the city manager, because the city manager is probably doing that.
Exactly.
The problem that happened with this position is
it went unfilled for too long.
Well, it didn't go unfilled. The young man got a better, less stressful job in another area. He took it. The next building official got another offer. He took it. It was put out there as an RFP to get a building official or a building inspector.
So we got one now, it's still a problem.
But you outsourced it to give a man 100% of the fees. And when you have a development such as Whirlpool or any other of these things that are being built, or your $3 million project, this man is walking away hand over fist with every permit that's getting ready to happen in the city of Benton Harbor for the next year. For his contract.
Can I say
Besides his
something to that
contract.
right quick? The same guy is the guy who was opening up the
No.
is that what are you saying no to? Because you cut me off. What did you say no to?
Please give Mr. Benton respect and let him speak.
I'm sorry.
The El Rico plant is going to be a grow house or something for marijuana, because I see every time you say it, you turn your nose up and act like it's an ugly thing. But let me say this. This is my observation of your face.
Wow.
So the same gentleman came in here and took a long time to do even that. But in doing that and talking to the citizens, he was one of the only ones what came in and said that he was going to sponsor and work with our problems with the public schools. So who are we talking about?
You missed it.
Okay, so you have to be here to know what I'm talking about. So maybe I should let you explain it.
Where are we talking about this agreement with community action?
Well, you started talking about the El Rico plan, so you brought it up, and that's why I'm saying you're turning your nose up at somebody who's going to help somebody who's working with the public schools, and maybe you didn't know that, but now you do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I have no problem with marijuana. Marijuana been on.
You got a problem.
Marijuana been on since the 60s.
You was against it all along, brother, and I know
marijuana.
Point of order, please.
You ain't never stopped nobody been on for smoking no weed.
Point of order, please. Please go back to the subject.
They smoked everywhere and been on.
Point of order.
They grown.
They grown.
It's what they want to do.
Well,
and it's legal.
And folks that drink do what they
all
do.
of that's beside my
folks
point.
Crack, do it too.
All of that's beside my point.
All that.
Heroin.
That's
legalized.
That's on them.
Do all of this.
Thank you. Subrecipient agreement. That's what we had. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything y'all said. Do you have anything else you want to say? Because I think that honestly,
if it's up to the commission, just move it forward and let us have our say.
I think we need that, but if we don't need it, tell us what will happen with that money. Can you do it? Can your office handle it by yourself?
We can redirect them funds somewhere else.
Do you have anybody else in mind that you can redirect that funds to?
Another project?
At this moment, no. It would be a travesty though for the community for the home rehab loan program to go away. We have a waiting list of 40 people right now that we are working through.
Let's, for the record, we might redirect that money now. Maybe we'll put that out there to the commission too. We'll redirect.
We all options. Simple as that.
Redirect the money from home rehab to something else. So. Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
Yeah, I'm just gonna respond to this comment because she just said that's something she can't handle right now. I would say you all need to direct whoever come in to give them a direction and a directive on what you want to see in that department. So maybe she can't do it now, but maybe she could do it in a year after she get trained and get her hands and understand the program as a whole. But I would say to do it right now wouldn't be wise if she don't really know how to do all these things. You can definitely leverage and work with the other departments because it can be something done in-house because inspections can take a day. You can go get training in 2 days and be qualified to do it, but if she hasn't reached that level yet where she can do it, I don't think you put that pressure on her because she just got here. But keep what's going right now. when I look at 4 houses, I'm like, we need to do way more than 4 houses. But if she can't do it, what else do you have? So I say we keep the ball rolling because it's rolling, and then give her time to get her hands around all this stuff, and then have her do more and more as we move forward.
Okay.
Appreciate that, Mr. Harvey. Duly noted. That's exactly what I think that should happen if we do it. So, Mr. Hoskins had something he wanted to add, then Commissioner Adams.
Yes, Ms. James. They're trying to sign you up for stuff that you haven't volunteered for, and they should think about that. Inspection of a house is not an easy task. You sign your name on that paper and the house catches fire, they come after you. Keep that in mind. Let the people that do it for a living do it. You got enough on your plate, in my opinion. But however they work it out, keep that kind of stuff in mind. Inspection is a big deal on the house.
Thank you. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Pro Tem Seats. I was just thinking, being the encouraging person that I am, any youth, because that's what I see when I look at you. Being a young mother, with your babies watching you. We do things to constantly educate ourselves, to do better, to earn more. I think that it would probably be something nice to actually look at doing, to put something else on your resume as it relates to the help you need with not only that, but everything else. See, I have a relationship with Ms. Jennings beyond this government here. And it too is a business relationship. Anything I do outside of my personal stuff is business. With MBK, my brother's keeper, we have One Love Global that started going to Flint and other communities, going within the government and helping them of keeping a brace grant dollars that they capture and keeping the paper, teaching actually us, the government itself, on how to do things to keep things strong within their government. And they do it free. And I think that that's something that I hope that we take a look at. It's a good thing, and I hope that you can remember to bring that up on the next conference call. Thank you.
Is there any way possible you can talk to One Love and see if they can do that for free? Are you saying the inspection portion? Are you saying what portion are you saying?
All of it. We'll speak. She have access. She can have that conversation later, but we can move forward, sir.
I do appreciate that. Anybody else got anything they want to add to it? Are you actually, Commissioner Adams, if I'm correct, I'm just asking for a point of clarity. Are you asking Ms. Jennings to go and be licensed and inspected?
Well, I'm telling her to reach for the stars as far as her life is concerned.
Okay.
To gain all the education she can, if that's what she chooses to do.
Appreciate that. I was just asking for a point of clarity. If you could add that, I mean, if you want to go, I think we can. If you want to go, we could probably find some money from the city to go get you trained as an inspector. If you want to get trained in inspections or whatever you want to do, I think we can find it from somewhere. Thank you. Yeah.
And you can do what both of them ask you to do. Both of them are possible.
Come to the mic.
Because you get the certificate or whatever you get, don't mean you have to go inspect it, but you have it. What I'm saying is that you can still be careful about what you do when you go. That's what I'm saying. Get the certificate, but that don't mean you have to go out and inspect anything. You just able to. That way, when you do go look at something, you see what the other inspector's looking at, you can look and say, well, that don't look right. But if you go now, you don't know what don't look right because you haven't been yet. But you can do what both of them say. Take both suggestions.
And what was your name?
My name is Eugene.
Thank you, Eugene.
Appreciate the comment. I think we should move it on to the full body. Please provide any information that's been asked to an individual that asked. If you have an opportunity, somebody call you. Thank you. Next, creation of youth development department. I think we talked about this for the last 3 meetings. Is there any other more information on the creation of the youth development department?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Discussion on Manchester Bidwell. Is there any information? I think we talked about this.
Yes, I want to discuss Manchester Bidwell.
Thank you.
Because I'm still seeking partners to enter into a partnership. And as you all know, as of this morning, the school board has decided that they're going to be coming forth asking for a meal. Okay? Which means that they want to reach into the pockets of this community. And I'm talking about the parents, the ones that get paid, the ones that work, that have to pay the taxes and all that other good stuff. And I really wish that I could have made that meeting yesterday. But this is they've had this information for a very long time, for years. And if it had been in place, we probably wouldn't be enduring what we are right now with the school. But we have some very bright people. Yeah. Guess I'm just not one of them. I just try. It's not something I'm debating, because some people ask me, well, what about this program and this program? These people have resources. They set up to make sure they don't fail. I think it's just sad that such an impoverished community, the lawmakers, keep going into the pockets, just taking a bite out of the poorest of the poor. Just keep taking a bite out of them. Just keep taking a bite out of them. And then we have Walmart cutting back on people hours after giving them a raise to make sure that they keep them right where they were. I mean, all of this stuff in a community works together. And if you don't know what's going on, it's so sad. It's just pathetically sad for the ones that sit in places like these and make decisions, to not really know what's going on. I'm glad to be a beautician because I get to hear firsthand, having such a love for creating something with my hands, but just having a love for people and coming to understand their needs, including the children. But I'm just one person. And this is something that's needed. I've done everything in my power for the past almost 15 years now, crying about Manchester Bidwell, and we're about to lose our schools. And the fact is that we may just be about to lose our schools. And I've set in motion for those, what few want to take a trip out to Manchester Bidwell to tour the facility. I mean, these people started, if we don't do something to become self-sustainable in our own community, or at least set the pace for something educational too, these people have started growing their own orchids. And now they're selling them all across the country to large grocery stores and stuff, which helps them to remain sustainable. I just wish that more of us would start thinking outside the box of how we can do things to create some jobs, and before we go to keep nibbling at the poorest of the poor. Because if you ain't got nothing to pay, don't keep taxing me. Don't ask me for a meal. I need one. I just like to hear from the community or the commissioners who would like to take this trip? Because I'm about to go. It's paid for. I think there's 2 or 3 more people that are allotted. Pittsburgh, Manchester, Bidwell.
I'm ready.
I've had a conversation with, again, One Love Global. She's closer in Lansing with the hopes that Benton Harbor can be the test tube to hopefully go into the governor's office and sit down and talk with our governor and have a conversation with her with the hopes that it could be something that could be used statewide within the school system because it's needed. Everything from pharmaceutical, nursing, pottery, the arts, photography, they offer it all. I was really impressed when I went up to Grand Rapids and took a tour of their small replication and saw the classes that a college student, they have a real large college in Grand Rapids. And I just happened to ask the young lady, you go to school here? Started a conversation with her and she said yes. And I'm like, she gave me a small overview. I said, can I record you? And she allowed me to record her. And she's actually a college student. I'm like, well, why are you over here? Because they offer a class that they didn't have at the college.
We have.
And it was a pottery class and a photography class. If we don't do something to make things available to try to open up the minds of our children, they're going to stay stuck. Won't be able to think of how to come out of a closet of darkness and start living in the light. Do something to put them on a career path. But I'm just one person, one voice, and I just hope that we can send something forth and ask the commissioners. I need a date. I need a date that will work for anybody else. If it's going to be a group trip, if not, I'm down.
We asked for the city to pay for this.
It's already paid for.
It's already paid for by the city?
By Brownfield.
Okay, Brownfield is paying for that. For how many did you say?
I think there's 8. I think there's 4 commissioners. I'm one, and 4 Brownfield members.
4 Brownfield members, 4 commissioners.
And if you choose to take your mate, you have to pay for them.
If you choose to take your mate, you got to compensate.
Yeah.
There you go.
Speaking of mates, you're right about having talked about this for a long time and nobody has helped you out because I've sat up and I've listened to you over and over. And I thought it was a great idea, just like I thought Nassau was a great idea. And we would have been off and running, and it's like something just pulled our feet away from up under us. And they pulled it out from up under you by not even addressing anything you had to say. And a lot of things happen like that in here where it's not addressed. They turn their nose up at it, and they sit in these high seats, big seats, and they don't respond to women. I'm talking about the mayor, the city manager, and the mayor pro tem. So maybe now that things are changing, and I'm praying that they are. All the time I'm praying for us to really get serious about what we need to be doing for the citizens. And I always say, address the citizens, deal with us first, and then let everybody else sit at the bottom of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. That's
all right, let's put it forward that 4 people going. We need a time when they're gonna go. Is there any way you can have this clerk to do the legwork?
Just need a date. I talk to Manchester Bill all the time. There's just a new CEO that's taking place, and taking the place of the other young lady that was there. I'll forward what I have to the city clerk, and she can forward it. Is it possible if you could forward it to school board members as well? Do you have their emails? Oh, okay, after that.
All right, lastly, purchase agreement with 212 purchase agreement, have you want to step forward, please? Have you received any correspondence?
No, good evening, everyone. I have a confirmation that on July 18th, Jay Tope signed for it. It was delivered here.
Jay Tope?
Okay, so.
Jennifer?
What was that date?
July 18th at 4:20 p.m. Jay Tope signed for it. So we're just waiting to hear the next steps or the update for it.
So you haven't heard not one word about it?
No, she was supposed to receive it for Darwin. Agreement already? Yes, they sent it to Darwin.
And was there a cashier's check involved?
No, it was the contract, and then I think it was $1,000 earnest money. But the whole agreement was to just pay for it once it was signed.
Pay cash for it once it's signed?
Yes.
Maybe we can take that money and put it into something you want. Maybe we can do that in August, hopefully we can.
So no one has seen the contract?
Nobody's seen the contract that I know of, unless somebody else, maybe we get the next acting. Clark, can you get that signed? Oh, we can go to the mayor. Mayor.
There you go. There you go.
State of emergency, the mayor can sign,
there
right?
You go.
But you know. The mayor sign it. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
You'll have an answer, I'll guarantee you an answer within 48 hours.
Thank you.
If you don't come back and let us know.
Okay, well.
And if you have a copy of that purchase agreement, if so, if the mayor does not have it, and does Kim have your number?
Yeah, I usually email her.
All right. Come and what you do, we have the mayor contact you within the next 48 hours to get that over to you. We did agree as a commission to do that.
Yeah.
And then what we can do is, after we get that done as a commission, we can redirect that to some appointment. There would have to be a way to do that, some appointment.
Now, you know what pro tem seats? I had forgotten, and I forgot that this was at the bottom of the agenda. But this was one of the purposes for the youth department. Put all of it in an account, probably for the next 3 years, to employ some children for the summer. And allow the children, 18 to 24, to do the supervising of the youth. Because I'm so sick of shady stuff, I don't know what to do.
We'll appreciate that, Commissioner.
We'll say.
You're doing the right thing by not you.
But yeah, to form a youth department. Can we get a resolution on that?
Well, hey, question about that. Is that also about that's the group with the grow is the grow what?
Give me that, no, I wouldn't even say that.
Do appreciate it. Any other comments? Mr. Eugene, can you come forward real quick before we leave? Mr. Eugene's been trying to purchase a piece of property. What's the address?
Oh, it's 710 Levesque.
710 Levesque. How long have you been trying to purchase it?
3 years.
710.
710 Levesque.
710 Levesque.
And then I own 738 Levesque. It's two half.
That's my grandma's property.
Which
grandma?
738. The lady that stayed on the
hill. And it's gonna come out tonight.
The lady that stayed on the hill?
Yeah.
738?
That's my grandmother's address. It used to be her office.
Oh, so the lady that stayed on the hill, that's who I bought it from, man. Daycare. She the one owned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When she left, went down.
Okay, yeah.
So what seems to be the problem?
The problem, I've been cutting it for these 3 properties. I've been cutting since I've been on my property. My house burned down on Pavone. I bought a new house on Levesque, and Then I bought this property and I've been cutting the grass. I had a couple of problems because I would cut the whole thing, but the people that cut the grass would tell them that they cut it. But I had to cut it.
Oh, wow.
So, and I would come down here and tell the guy that was here before, I just want to get the property so I can have control and I can, do what I need to do. They just,
Well, do we still have
the proposals?
I have the city side lot purchase.
Agreement,
Yeah.
sideline.
And what they?
Yeah, I got.
Yeah. You got the money.
Is that the money for it? How much is it?
Nah,
It's total
don't,
$175.
How much are they for sale?
Don't know. They.
That's what I'm talking about. How much?
The one, my lot is 50 feet, and then it's 233 feet. Only 33 feet wide. So I gave a price on them, and then the one is next door to my house.
And that price was acceptable?
No, I don't know. I'm just here
and
now.
And you bought money orders?
I bought cashier's checks just to, if we
They're not filled out though.
Yeah, they to the city, but yeah.
City lots.
They're city lots.
Yeah.
How long has this process been?
3 years. Process.
When you started asking the buy the
3
property?
years. Remember, you came on
3 years.
So
who are you dealing with?
Miss Tracy.
No.
Can you, Miss Tracy,
Bad idea,
can you make sure that we get an agreement done? Because traditionally, sale of property was meant to community economic development. That's part of that. So when we get an agreement, bring it forth to the full body commission, we'll vote on it, or you can bring it to my next meeting. I don't think we should hold out for another 3 years.
It's sad.
Can I give her this? And if it's a difference in price, then it'll be different.
I appreciate that.
If they accept what I put on here or not, if they say it's a different, then I'll just bring that back when it comes to
Y'all have a good night. Thank you.
Can I give it to you?
You ain't closed the meeting now.
Meeting has been closed.